Okay, so we're going to call to order the Township High School District 113 meeting for Monday, May 22nd, 2017. Could I have a roll call, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Stand by.
Ms. Gorlowski.
Here.
Mr. Small.
Present.
Ms. Meyer.
Here.
Ms. Lobby.
Here.
Ms. Gordon.
Here.
Ms. Hyman.
Here.
Ms. Culver.
Here. And could everyone seated at the tables identify themselves, please?
Christopher Dignam, Superintendent.
Sandra Hassel, Executive Secretary to the Superintendent.
Catherine Anderson, Principal at Deerfield.
Eileen McMahon, Assistant Principal at Highland Park.
Tiffany Chavez, Director of Student Support Services.
Andrea Johnson, Director of Equity and Grants.
Tom Krieger, Director of Human Resources.
Gary Bullock, Superintendent of Finance.
Oh, I have one.
Director of Communications and Instructional Technology.
Okay, so then I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, this evening we have a few recognitions, and so we would like to start first with our student representatives, and that will be done by Lizzie, Ms. Garlowski.
They can give their reports first, then they don't.
Oh, they can? Are they?
Are they here?
Yeah. Do we have Rachel and Matthew here today?
One is on the way. Rachel is on the way.
Okay. Okay. So Lizzie should do it? Or?
No.
The student should give his
Oh,
report.
do you have the
So,
report?
yeah, sorry, I just came from the dentist, so I'm not a little numb.
Okay.
So,
We'll
Rachel and Matthew are both seniors, so they're graduating. And so me and Samantha Lynn, who is on her way, I'm Shelby Miller, we're the new student representatives for the next year board meetings. And so hopefully Rachel is on her way to collect her awards.
Okay.
But I can make the announcement, and then I'm just waiting on Samantha as well, who hopefully will be here soon.
Well, would it be okay if we did your Highland Park first?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we have Lauren come forward? Thanks.
Should I make my report?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Even though the school year is coming to a close, the Giants are still going strong in terms of academics, extracurriculars, and sports. Focus on the arts was a complete success. Students were able to enjoy a variety of artists, some of them being their fellow students. From cake decorating to acting to stellar dance performances, HPHS students were never bored. Following Focus on the Arts was AP testing, marking the final stretch for the school year, especially for seniors. On Friday, May 12th, Working Together hosted their annual showcase where they got to show their amazing dancers from the classes that happened on Saturday mornings. Last Monday, May 15th, during lunch period, HPHS celebrated their seniors with our annual senior barbecue, hosted by our student senate and helped debut the newly renovated courtyard. It was great to celebrate my 4 amazing years at HPHS with this fun event. I didn't notice that. To take a quick look at our athletics, both boys and girls track and field recently participated in both their conference and sectional meets.
Just stand right there.
Girls track finished second in their conference meet, and Stephanie Chris qualified for state in the 800 and placed 8th in state. The Giants boys baseball won their Central Suburban League North championship. Giants boys tennis sends Jacob Edelcheck, the sectionals singles champ, and Brandon Liu and Jeremy Lerner, the sectionals doubles champ, to state. Good luck to the tennis team. Last weekend was prom, which was at the Crystal Gardens at Navy Pier. I loved seeing all the seniors dance the night away at our Happily Ever After themed night. To finish off the senior festivities, May 24th will be graduation at Virginia Festival. I am so honored and appreciative to have been a part of the Board of Education meetings. I take pride in representing the HPHS student body and have no doubt that Jessica, the incoming representative, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, will thrive as the student representative for the 2017-2018 school year. Thank you.
We have a little recognition for Lauren. On behalf of the board, we give a resolution in appreciation of Lauren Schneiderman. Resolved that we, members of the Board of Education of Township High School District 113, Lake County, Illinois, do hereby express to Lauren Schneiderman our sincere appreciation for her service as Highland Park High School representative to the Board of Education from September 2016 to May 2017. Lauren is the 45th student from her school to serve in this capacity. Lauren's presence at board meetings always meant an enthusiastic and informative report of student activities at Highland Park High School. With a humorous and down-to-earth delivery of important information, Lauren truly contributed to all of our board meetings. As the presenter of Highland Park High School student life, she was able to personalize her reports and truly reflect the culture of the school. Lauren's services to the board have been outstanding. The board commends Lauren for her commitment and performance of her duties in exemplary fashion. This Board of Education has taken great pleasure in working with Lauren Schneiderman, and we express our sincere good wishes to her for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Hi, sorry. Being a Deerfield student, I got a little nervous.
So, hi, I'm Shelby Miller.
I'm Samantha Lynn, and we're both the new officers for DHS Student Council.
So, taking place this past week and coming up are...
So to start off, we had boys gymnastics. Recently took third in state, and they sent 7 members of their team, which was really exciting for Deerfield because that was a first for the gymnastics team.
This past weekend, girls track sent 10 girls to state conference, and it was a really fun, successful event for everybody. And then for boys track, we won CLC conference championships, and many of them will be traveling to state conference later this week.
And also boys tennis just completed their sectional conference and will be sending a doubles team to state. And then Jam for Justice is the Human Rights Club Music Festival during lunches, and this took place last week. This year, Jam for Justice supported the Water Project, which brings clean water to undeveloped places. They raised over $1,000 for this great cause.
Race Through the Night is where the DHS boys and girls track teams, which is starting on May 26th at 8 p.m. and lasting until May 27th at 8 a.m., which benefits the SSRA. So we would really highly encourage you guys to join them. This event is an overnight run/walk with games and food as well, and you can sign up on RevTrack and get sponsorships or be a sponsor.
And this past weekend was our prom, and everyone really enjoyed the dance and our after party. And also graduation will be taking place this Thursday at Ravinia as a final send-off to our seniors. On Student Council, the freshmen have been working really hard to raise money for the Cancer Wellness Center, the runner-up for our annual school chest fundraiser. They participated in a run/walk that the center is hosting, and also will be hosting food sales at DHS during our lunches this week to help raise more money.
And also for Student Council, we have the Warrior Wisdom Conference coming up, which helps benefit our annual fundraiser that we had this past winter with the Propionic Acidemia Foundation. On June 9th through 11th, families from all over the country will be coming to the Deerfield Hyatt to learn and connect on advancements for propionic acidemia research and how to best treat it. The foundation would really love volunteers to help with this conference. If you know anybody who's interested in volunteering, please reach out to us. And thank you guys so much. We look forward to being the representatives for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a resolution for Rachel and Matthew. Girls want to come back up and introduce? So resolve that we, members of the Board of Education of Township High School District 113, Lake County, Illinois, do hereby express to the following student council members, Rachel Rappaport and Matthew Swill, our sincere appreciation for their service as Deerfield High School representatives to the Board of Education from September 2016 until May 2017. These students are the 45th representatives from their school to serve in this capacity. Both Rachel and Matthew provided an informative report of student activities at Deerfield High School. With a humorous and down-to-earth delivery of important information, both Rachel and Matthew truly contributed to the board meeting. As the presenter of DHS Student Life, they were able to personalize the reports and truly reflect the culture of their school. Their services to the board have been outstanding. The board commends Rachel Rappaport and Matthew Swill for performance of their duties in an exemplary fashion. This Board of Education has taken great pleasure in working with Rachel Rappaport and Matthew Swill, and we express our sincere good wishes for a successful future. We are very excited to work with Samantha and Sheldon.
Thank you.
So, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you,
Sam. You're very welcome.
Now our teacher representative, Ms. Teflinski.
Good evening, everyone. Today we started off our Monday Late Start with a really exciting new initiative that was introduced to us, and that is the Warrior Way. And the Warrior Way is a new way of thinking about our school and about our workplace, and it was started by the faculty and is supported by the administration. And the Warrior Way focuses on how we treat each other and how we want the school to be. It focuses on respect, encourage, kindness, passion, purpose, and gratitude, and expressing all of these things in classrooms, in the hallways, in our activities, on and off the field. It's for students and staff. It's really for our community to build relationships and connections and to develop a common language and provide opportunities where we all get to know each other better. The Warrior Way is positive, it's empowering, and we are asking our staff, our students, our community to embrace this positivity and to demonstrate the 6 areas with pride. The Warrior Way will be everywhere as our students and our faculty demonstrate their caring for one another. There will be lessons created in homeroom, discussions and promotions developed on the Warrior Way. We'll have recognitions on a daily basis, and this initiative is going to take place in the classrooms, activities, athletics, and we're looking for a really strong rollout in the fall. And as a faculty member, I personally can say I felt very empowered this morning, and I was able to, feel the excitement from my colleagues. So this will be something really great. Susan Gorman from theater shared that the Cats production, they did a pre-show where they made a presentation available to staff and their families where attendees got a nice look at the behind the scenes, what goes into a production. So they learned about the hair, the makeup, and if you've seen Cats, you know that that's like a very intense hair and makeup process. It was an Optimist Club inspired event, which again is just to bring the community and our staff together. Ryan Ricaitis, a world language teacher, on May 11th, his AP Spanish Language and Culture and Spanish 2 honors classes hosted a delegation of educators from El Salvador, and the visitors are teachers through Contextos, an organization that promotes literacy through El Salvador. The Salvadoran teachers shared stories written by their students in El Salvador, and Ryan hopes to create an ongoing relationship with Contextos for next year so that his students can use Spanish to communicate with classes in El Salvador about current events and stories of personal interest. The week of April 17th through the 21st, many Deerfield High School students participated in a variety of Writers' Week events and workshops in order to celebrate the power attached to words. Students met local authors Sue Myers, Michelle May, and J. Michael Major, who all specialize in mystery novels about forensic science. We also had Kevin Koval, who has been to Deerfield High School many times. He's known by the Chicago Tribune as the voice of the New Chicago, and he shared poems from his most recent book, A People's History in Chicago. Organizations such as Raytopia Lab and Teen Writers and Artist Project led students through a variety of creative writing workshops that focused on poetry and flash fiction. I had the opportunity to take all of my classes, and they saw a few different writers, and each one brought their own unique perspective to the writing process, and I think it's something that the students of Deerfield really appreciated and valued. Derek Tiburon reported that Eddie Hine, who's a senior in Derek's application development class, designed, programmed, and published an app on the Apple App Store for the IDSA convention. Eddie won a design contest hosted by the organization and then worked to get his app published on the App Store for use during the convention. And Derek reported that it was downloaded and used by over 60 attendees at the convention. It was an an excellent example of a student taking what he learned in class and then directly applying it to a career-related application. Very cool. Alicia Akers reported that Natalie Dobelt Jr. was nominated as Best Actress for her role in The Addams Family. This nomination came from the Illinois High School Musical Theater Awards branch of Broadway in Chicago. And she will compete with 23 other actors, 12 male, 12 female, to see if she is selected to go to New York City for the national competition. Our student representatives mentioned that prom was this past Saturday night. We had over 415 students attend, and from what I understand, it was a great success. And our student reps also talked about Jam for Justice, and again, just the teacher perspective, seeing all the students out in the courtyard, enjoying the day, enjoying the music, and coming together for a good cause. It's really, truly one of my favorite moments at Deerfield High School. And let's see, staff recognition. Our psychology intern, Giovanna Rodriguez, will be defending her doctoral dissertation at the University of California, Riverside on June 1st. And she has accepted a postdoctoral position at the Wiseman Center at University of Wisconsin-Madison for next year. And Kimberly Wiley was recently honored with a couple of awards in the state organization IACAC, which is part of the NACAC. She was given the Mentorship Match of the Year, which is awarded to a mentor and mentee that built a great working relationship. As a mentor, she is assigned a mentee who has been in the field for 2 years or less. And this year she worked with an intern from Stevenson High School, and she reported that it was just a wonderful experience. Another award she received is the Molly K. Arnold President's Service Recognition Award, and this award is given to members with over 5 years of experience who show strong and consistent leadership to IACAC in the field of college counseling. And that's my report, and I just want to thank you all. My term as board rep is up, but it's been a pleasure getting to know each of you, outside of the day-to-day stuff that goes on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just wait a second and don't leave us so soon. So we also have a special recognition and award for you as well. Be it resolved that we, members of the Board of Education of Township High School District 113, Lake County, Illinois, do hereby express to Sarah Teplinsky, Deerfield High School teacher representative to the Board of Education, our sincere appreciation of her service to this board from September 15th to May 2017. As the 24th teacher representative from Deerfield High School, she has fulfilled her obligations of representing the faculty by attending board meetings, reporting on teacher activities, and listening attentively to presentations. The result of gathering information school-wide, Sarah's reports were always filled with examples of teachers' work so that the board could glimpse the light of the school from a teacher's point of view. Board members have gained from the wealth of information made possible by having a teacher representative from Deerfield High School and have appreciated Sarah's positive, friendly attitude as she expressed interest and concern for all members of the school community. As members of the Board of Education, it's been our pleasure to have worked with Sarah, and we joined together in expressing our good wishes for her in the future. And tonight was just one simple example of the fine work that she did all her. So thank you very much.
Now we'll have our District 113 Education Foundation student recognitions.
Amina Awad, join me on the podium, please. Just before I read the glowing words about Amina, I want everybody to realize that Amina's service and the District 113 Foundation starts at 7:15 in the morning once a month. So in addition to everything else, you can imagine how she starts her day. So, Amina, the Board of Education would like to recognize Deerfield High School senior Amina Awad for her dedicated service on the board of the District 113 Education Foundation. During her 2 years on the board, Amina has tirelessly advocated on behalf of the Foundation's mission of enhancing and enriching the education programs at Deerfield and Highland Park High Schools through innovative educational opportunities. She has been a model of volunteerism and leadership and has participated in organizing fundraisers, provided unique insights for the Foundation's grant selection process, and enthusiastically encouraged student participation in Foundation events, including the Foundation's annual Pizza Bowl and Baker's Cup. We couldn't do it without the students she always helps to recruit. We know that Amina will have a bright future both academically and in service to others, and we offer her our congratulations on her graduation.
Okay, now our CBO Scholar Graduate recognitions.
Tonight, the board would like to recognize two special programs that prepare and assist District 113 students with the college process. The first is College Bound Opportunities. Since 2006, and I'm going to add as a result of the encouraging and pushing of former board member Bonnie Schlensky, College Bound Opportunities, CBO, has been mentoring under-resourced students in the, in the northern suburbs and motivating them to realize their potential and become productive members of their communities. What sets CBO apart is its long-term commitment to the students it supports through one-on-one mentoring from the time they are accepted into the program and through college graduation and oftentimes beyond CBO. Period. CBO is very proud of the fact that nearly 95% of its scholars graduate from college. CBO currently supports 36 students attending Highland Park, Deerfield, and Lake Forest High School and Cristo Rey St. Martin in Waukegan, and more than 110 scholars in colleges around the country. By the end of this graduation season, CBO will have 85 college graduates. We'd like to congratulate all of this year's graduating CBO scholars and wish them good luck in college next year. I think we should also congratulate their families, because the families are all a big part, a major part of the success of these students. And now, Bonnie Schlensky will introduce this year's Highland Park High School CBO scholars and the colleges they will be attending.
So all the students could just come up here. I just want to thank the district because pushing was probably a nice way of putting it. There's not a lot of people here who were there in the day, but here we are 11 years later, and I think we have a pretty proven track record. So thanks to the district for all the support as we continue to expand. Right, so I am going to let them say their name and where they're going to school, because this is their 2 minutes of fame in the district.
Gloria Rios, and I'll be attending Northeastern Illinois University.
I'm Christina Diaz, and I will be attending Denison University.
I'm Stephanie Gomez, and I will be attending Augustana College. I'm Jennifer Silva, and I'm going to Northeastern Illinois University.
I'm Enrique Aguero, and I'm going to Illinois State University.
Hi everyone, Jasmine, and I'll be attending Carroll University.
I'm Anna Perez, and I will be going to Lake Forest College.
I'm Alan Castillo, and I'll be attending Carroll University. I'm Joe Darkers, and I'll be attending Indiana University.
I'm Carolina, and I'll be attending Illinois State University. Hello, I'm Stephanie Nicola, and I'm going to Lawrence University.
Hi, I'm Moses Herrera. I'll be attending the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Hello, I'm Rodrigo Pozo. I will be attending Carroll University.
We're going to shuffle them off so we're not being rude and leaving, but many of these kids are getting honors at honors night tonight. So We also have 14 scholars from Deerfield High School, Lake Forest High School, and Cristo Rey St. Martin, who couldn't be here with us tonight, but they will attend DePaul University, Dominican University, Illinois State, Lake Forest College, Marquette, Rhodes College, University of Denver, University of Illinois at Chicago, and University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. So again, thank you to the district for their support, and we look forward to many years of continued success.
Okay, now we'll do the Schuler Scholar Graduate Recognition.
It's true.
So we would also like to recognize the graduate of Highland Park High School Schuler Scholar Program. I'm going to start. I'm Stacy Meyer. Julie Levine, who is the school director for Highland Park High School, couldn't be here tonight, but she feels very connected to each and every person standing up here, and I know that she is here in spirit. She asked me, as a former Schuler employee, to be the person to do this for you. So 9 years ago, Highland Park High School was selected by the Schuler Family Foundation to become a partner in the program. The program prepares high potential students who will be the first in their family to go to college, to gain access to and succeed at highly selective colleges and universities. Tonight we are recognizing our 7 graduating Schuler Scholars at Highland Park. These students and their families have been committed to this rigorous program throughout their high school careers. Among a list of expectations, students were expected to excel academically, take a rigorous course load of multiple honors and AP level courses, participate in summer college programs, college test prep, college visits, extracurricular activities. In addition, be involved in their high school community, often developing as leaders in sports clubs and these activities. The Board of Education is honored to recognize these Schuler Scholars tonight and wish them well in their endeavors after high school. And while I was planning on introducing you, I like what started. Introduce yourself, Debbie.
Hi, I'm Gustavo Diaz and I'm going to Carleton College. Hi, I'm Milo Reynolds and I'll be attending Grinnell College.
Good evening, my name is Giselle Fasalvo and I'm going to Elon University. Hello, my name is Aurora Samudio Lopez and I'll be attending Marquette University.
Hi, my name is Tanea Fincher and I'll be attending the University of Richmond.
My name is Vanessa Alonso and I'll be attending Denison University.
Hi, I'm Edgar Lara and I'll be attending Brandeis University.
So we're just going to take a quick break so that everyone who needs to get to honors night can go ahead and head on out.
Probably the most whole program. I still think
There's a machine
is one of the best conceptual programs I've ever done. It's such a extraordinary program. Thank you. It's fair.
The Board of Education would like to recognize Scott Schallenberger on being selected as the 2017 Highland Park Community Foundation Golden Apple Teacher. Scott learned of this honor during a surprise visit to his classroom by a group that included Scott's parents, spouse, children, fine and applied arts colleagues, administrative team members, and members of the Highland Park Community Foundation. The board would also like to congratulate Bridget Farner and Elizabeth Perlman, who were finalists for the Highland Park Community Foundation Golden Apple Teacher Award. Sarah Scher is here, the Golden Apple Selection Committee Chairperson, and would like to introduce Scott Schallenbarger as well as Bridget Farner and Elizabeth Perlman tonight. So if you guys want to come on up.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I've been a resident of Highland Park since 1977, had 3 children graduate Highland Park High School, taught English for 20 years at Edgewood, and I anticipate that my own grandchildren will be going to Highland Park High School and be lucky enough to have all of these teachers. Tonight, I am a lucky person. As chair of the Highland Park Community Foundation's Golden Apple Selection Committee, I get to introduce you to our 2 finalists and our final recipients of this award. The Highland Park Community Foundation is an endowed organization that strives to meet unmet needs in the Highland Park Highwood community. Its mission is to improve the quality of life for all its citizens. In 2010, the foundation and a local family foundation initiated an annual Golden Apple Award, just like the original one in Chicago, to recognize outstanding teachers in the Highland Park school systems. By honoring teachers with the Golden Apple Award, the foundation is able to demonstrate the strength and impact of how excellent teaching helps young people reach their potential, as we can see with all the young people who are already honored tonight. This year's nominations were accepted for 9th through 12th grade teachers at Highland Park High School who had had at least 4 years of teaching experience. We received many excellent nominations from all grades and departments at this school. In fact, many of our nominees received multiple nominations. After a rigorous and intensive review process, nominations were narrowed down to 3 finalists. These finalists were observed for a full teaching day by teams from the selection committee. The team interviewed the candidate, colleagues, administrators, department chairs, parents, and students. A final report was written that articulated the observation, and then the selection committee had the unenviable task of choosing just one of these 3 to be the final recipient, but they all deserve our accolade. Because of their excellence, it is my delight to introduce and honor each one of these teachers tonight. Our first finalist is Bridget Farner, a superior teacher who is a powerful force in improving the quality of education in our community. Her competence, creativity, and compassion for others enhance the students' learning experience in her Spanish classroom. Her commitment to cross-curricular efforts, collegiality, and excellent teaching creates an enriching environment for learning. Her passion for women and gender issues and the personal focus she gives to each and every student positively impacts our entire school community. Bridget sees each student as an individual with needs, aspirations, and untapped potential. Bridget is her students' champion, their friend, their teacher, and their biggest fan. And from the Highland Park Foundation, I'd like to give you this. Next, we have Elizabeth Perlman, a master English teacher who cultivates lifelong and self-directed learners. Elizabeth's ability to create a classroom environment where students of all learning styles can be successful is of great significance. Elizabeth makes her students' lives a priority and extends herself in any way possible to show that she cares. She stands out for the time she invests in her students as she builds genuine, meaningful relationships that extend beyond the year the students are in her class. She recognizes and acknowledges students' issues and is able to tackle them with her students in a respectful and sensitive way. She champions her students as a wonderful teacher. This is for Elizabeth. Finally, I would like to introduce Scott Schallenbarger, Director of Theater Arts and this year's recipient of the Highland Park Community Foundation's Golden Apple Award. Scott makes each of his students feel as if he or she is the center of his attention, as if he's hanging on to each word and genuinely wants to listen and help. He has had a profound effect on the lives of countless students, parents, and colleagues in his 27 years at Highland Park High School. He is magical in the positivity he radiates, the courage he nurtures, the bonds he builds, and the lessons, many of which go far beyond the drama classroom that he teaches. Scott taps into each student's sense of self and helps them understand the perspectives of others as they become a particular character. And quoting Scott, this is simply a means to a bigger end of teaching the sacredness of human perspective so they can grow into beautiful people. Scott's philosophy is to develop empathy, find a voice, make connections, and grow as human beings. Scott epitomizes what it means to be a golden apple teacher. Having retired and being able to be part of this golden apple process, but we in Highland Park and Highwood are particularly lucky to have this quality of teachers in our schools, and I am already going to tell my grandchildren to sign up all 3 of them. Thank you. Show us your award.
Yes, please.
Sorry.
Thank you.
It's better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We all need our publicity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for citizens' comments. We welcome your comments and questions and give them serious consideration. Pursuant to Board of Education Policy 2-230, please identify yourself and, if applicable, state the agenda item to which your comment is directed. Please limit the length of all comments to no more than 3 minutes per comment period. We will do our best to address your questions during the relevant agenda item discussion. For non-agenda related questions, or for questions that require additional response time, we will follow up with you as well as report back at the next board meeting. Do we have any citizen comments? Oh. Yep, right to the microphone, thank you.
Hi, I'm Tim Sirois. I'm a Highland Park resident. I teach at the high school here, and I've got a comment, a concern, and a question. And the comment is, I'm deeply involved with the swim program here, so I want to let everyone know, we've got the beautiful facility. I think maybe at times there is a question as to how is it perceived by the people who use it every day, and it is extremely positive. It is such a phenomenal facility that is versatile and well received by water polo, swimming, all around. And the people who come to the facility are raving about it. So I did want to pass that along since I'm here every day. And then my concern and the question relates to, I moved my family here because I wanted my kids going to Highland Park High School. The administrators that we are losing really embody and what I moved here for. So it's a concern to me that we are losing so many. And the question for you is, have you spoken to them about why they are leaving?
Thank you.
My name is Hazel Holzog. My husband went to Highland Park High School over 50 years ago. I taught at Highland Park High School for about 28 years. My 3 children graduated from Highland Park, and now I have grandchildren at Highland Park High School. So I really have a very warm feeling for this school. And I have become upset because when I was at Focus, I talked to some teachers, and they aren't happy. And it really bothered me, the whole thing with as he mentioned, the administrators that are leaving bother them. The way things are handled bothered them. We heard the teacher representative from Deerfield talk about the warrior way: respect, courage, kindness, passion, gratitude. I don't think that is being delivered to the teachers. She said how the faculty felt empowered by the new program. All teachers should feel empowered. The board rep talked about how she loved getting to know the board as people. All teachers, I think, should be able to know the board as people. When I was teaching here, board members were constantly in the school. They didn't have to ask anyone for permission. They were around, they came in, met us at the lunchroom, had lunch with us. If you wanted to invite them to a class for some special thing, fine. They weren't there to look in on you or spy on you. And we always felt like if we had a concern, and there were times we did, we could talk to a board member and it would be taken care of or discussed. I also got the feeling that the teachers are feeling that they are not listened to. When I was here, if we wanted to start a new program, the superintendent would listen to us. I can remember Jim Warren coming to a group of us and saying, we need to start an ESL program. We had 10 kids there. You all, there was one person from every department, you come up with a program that will work for Highland Park High School. And we did. It changed as more kids came in, but it was really a very viable program. I encourage you as a superintendent to take the lead in bringing the school board, the teachers, the administration together. I too am very upset when I heard that all these people were leaving. And I also am questioning, I don't know how you picked a new principal, but I've heard some rumors about that, but that's unimportant at this point. The Golden Apple standards that they talked about, I'd like to see all aspects of what they want with Golden Apple teachers brought into the school so all teachers can be Golden Apple teachers, but they need an administration and school board that will allow them to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Okay. So now we'll move on to our DHS and HPS English department presentations.
Welcome, everyone. On behalf of both English departments in the district, we want to thank you for this opportunity to give us a glimpse into our English programming. We'll begin with some general introductions, highlight our interests, professional learning opportunities, and give an overview of our current programming, data, and departmental highlights.
In addition, we will also discuss collaboration and articulation between the two high schools as well as our sending schools, and also how we integrate technology into our instructional program. As well, we will highlight the strengths and opportunities of both departments, and also, of course, answer any questions that come up from the Board of Education this evening.
I'm Lenny DiPasquale, the English Department Chair at Highland Park High School. This is my second year in the district, and I'm grateful to the Board of Education, the administration, and the staff and students in the school for the opportunity to serve in this role. Prior to my calling, and I really believe that, to be part of the HBHS family, I was an assistant principal for curriculum and instruction, and before this, I spent much of my early career as an English teacher, reading specialist, and instructional coach.
My name is Ryan Least, and I'm the English Department Chair at Deerfield High School. I'm absolutely excited to be spending my first year with such a talented department. This marks the 12th year in education for me. Prior to coming to Deerfield High School, I spent 7 years, the bulk of my career, at Neuqua Valley High School in Naperville. I was a freshman and senior English teacher. I was also a department chair assistant, and I was in charge of our theater program. For the past couple of years, I've served in different administrative capacities, but I'm very excited to have found my forever home in District 113. So you've heard a little bit of background information about us so far, but we would like to offer a personal glimpse about our departments in order to paint more of an intimate portrait about who we are across both high schools. So in addition to serving traditional roles as mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, we're also published authors, adjunct professors. We're also nationally board certified teachers, youth advisors, screenwriters. We benefit from a variety of professional development, including NCTE, Newberry conferences, participating in workshops offered by the Chicago Shakespeare Theater, Council of American Studies of Educators. We're interested in a wide variety of topics, including social justice, equity, culturally responsive teaching, Shakespeare, and of course, reading.
In addition to everything else, we're part of professional organizations, so we can continue to learn about best practices in our field. And because of our commitment to the whole student, we coach and sponsor after school.
So in front of you, you see a picture of the Deerfield High School English Department, which has become my second family. And I mean that sincerely. Although I've only been together with them for almost a full school year, I have enjoyed immensely collaborating and getting to know them this year. And I look forward to working with them for years to come because they are a wonderful bunch of teachers. To give you a little bit more information about our department by the numbers, there are 17 of us, including myself. Every single teacher in my department has a master's degree. The average number of teaching experience is 20 years, 17 of those at Deerfield alone. And a couple keywords that really describe who we are: passionate, collaborative, and intellectually curious. We each asked our departments to provide us with some information, some anecdotal information about who we are, more narrative in nature. And we each took that language and we put it in a Wordle, which you see present on the right. And if you'd like to learn more about us, we've linked it in our presentation where you can see additional words that each department has offered about us. But a couple words that really resonate with me, and also in the Wordle: colleagues. Caring about one another and collaborating with one another. Driven. I have never worked with such a driven department who's invested in learning about cutting-edge strategies and helping students be successful. Likewise, dedication. The department is absolutely dedicated to seeing students grow in all areas of reading, writing, speaking, listening, language, but also seeing them grow as people outside the classroom as well.
There we are. Similarly to DHS, our English teachers and the support staff connected to English are proud members of the department. In my opinion, they're about the hardest working groups of professionals I've ever met. And I've been able to learn more because of their support. We do have several teachers, both from HBHS and DHS in the audience, so please stand. We do appreciate you every day, and the work that you do for kids is just amazing. We have one of the largest departments in the district with 24 teachers. All teachers have their master's degree or higher, with the average number of years of teaching being 21, and 13 years as the average at Highland Park. When we describe ourselves, the key words that stand out are being student-centered, being a family, learning from one another, and being a supportive community. Here's a little bit more about Highland Park High School. So all students have to take 4 years of English. We have a 4-year curriculum design that pushes students to be at their own highest level of rigor. Each year we offer different intervention and support designs to meet learners where they are and push them to grow. As part of our studies program, we offer an interdisciplinary experience with social studies during both freshman and junior year. What's unique about our senior year is that we offer a variety of topical choices so students can apply what they've learned during their first 3 years and then choose a course that mirrors more of a college experience. Different co-taught, block extensions, and flexible learning models exist in our program design, so we offer students an authentic experience that really meets their needs. With the implementation of Common Core a few years ago, the department band together and worked tirelessly together to adopt Common Core aligned series of skill standards with critical indicators that each course uses, so it's tied to more of a common experience. We ultimately put this into HPHS own language because we really highlighted what's most important and critical for our student success. Additionally, the common assessments we have meet these standards, and the critical indicators offer a roadmap for each level to meet in order to master the skill of the standard. This is an example of a common assessment writing rubric that one of our course teams uses. And this is another example of a common course team reading and thought process rubric. Because of how closely we work together during our department collaborations, our course teams have been able to develop a guaranteed and viable curriculum, not only around the same core standards, but also around common anchor texts, grounded in many common assessments, writing prompts, or learning activities. While we're still at the development stage in many of our common assessments, each course team at this point is committed to at least one common assessment that they work with in their course team, so they talk about data and they norm, and they have conversations about what's really driving students to grow. This begins to highlight some of our English department systems. We're really good at making data-based decisions, and in turn have strategically designed aspects of our programming. Many teachers use standards-based grading in the department. This allows teachers to pinpoint areas of strengths and growth so they can set goals with students. Additionally, standards-based grading allows students to be rewarded for what they learn, how they grow, and what they know at the end of a summative experience, as opposed to be penalized at the beginning of the year. Moving forward, we're also committed to providing an inquiry and research experience for all of our seniors, no matter what course they're in, to be better prepared for the types of inquiry experiences they'll need beyond HPHS. We have a literacy intervention system that includes a double period model, a block extension model, a co-teaching model with lit interventionists, and also with special education teachers. So we could provide student and teacher supports embedded in the class period, so all students have access to the standard learning experience. We're piloting flexible learning models during sophomore and senior year next year, so students can actually choose different units of study within a class and potentially with different teachers throughout the year. And finally, our focus on equity has pushed us to make our honors and AP classes open access, and we're investigating ways to continue to make sure high levels of support are also available for these students who take risks by entering honors and AP classes moving forward. In order to ensure our students are growing and track progress throughout the year, we use the STAR assessment. And we put a link to the STAR presentation so you could learn more about what STAR is. But just to give you a little glimpse, this is, there's more information about this, but STAR is an assessment tool aligned to the Common Core. It's the only progress monitoring program normed for high school students. And we use this to be responsive teachers. Teachers are able to pull reports by skill, ability, and then can group according to strengths or areas of growth in a classroom. This is an example of a report that we receive or we get in September for all of our incoming freshmen. PR equals percentile rank, GE equals grade equivalent, and IRL equals independent reading level. As you can see, we have about 45% of our freshmen with an independent reading level below the 9th grade. This information is important because it gives teachers an indicator of the amount of scaffolding and differentiation they need in order for students to feel success to access core texts. Similarly, you'll see that we have quite a few students above reading level. This is just as equally important because it gives teachers information so they know how to enrich their experience. There are several reports that we pull, and we wanted to give you a taste of what data we dive into. all of our ninth graders STAR test, all of our students in survey and intervention courses STAR test, and our core sophomores STAR as well. This report is important because it shows SGP, and SGP stands for Student Growth Percentile. This shows how each student is growing compared to all like students in the nation. So, with 11 million students taking this assessment nationwide, based on students' grade and age, we're able to determine if that student is growing more or less than their like peers. This average that we really like to see is between 35 to 40. That's kind of like the national average. But in many cases, we see significant growth, and we really celebrate when we have SGPs over 50%. SS equals scale score, and students should grow approximately 1.2 points a week. So as you can see, all of our averages are pretty much in the positive. We also look at students in our intervention program as well as a breakdown of how our students of color grow in comparison to our students who identify as white. We view our English programming as a true 4-year program. So when we analyze our data on access to honors and AP, as well as students of color in our honors and AP programming, we like to see that increase over time. We're really proud of the increases that we're seeing. Our AP scores are high, and while our averages are there, 3.81 and 3.9, 95% of our students earn 3, 4s, or 5s. As we provide greater access to all students to have the opportunity to take AP courses, we anticipate that this average might decrease, and we're okay with that because that means that we're offering all students an advanced experience and pushing them into that higher level course. When we investigate our diagonal movement data, we're excited to share that while we usually begin with approximately 110 to 125 students in our fundamental, survey, or intervention courses, by the time students enter senior year, that number actually decreases to about 20 to 30 students. It's like an upside down triangle, and that's really what we're looking for. As we broaden our in-class supports through our block extension and co-taught sections, the amount of students in standard level courses who also benefit from these supports that's really important because that increases as well. So for example, this year we have about 9% of students in standard courses receiving supports, but next year that'll increase to about 38%. So there's a benefit from expanding our intervention programs. One of the final sets of data we look at is our ACT data. We have approximately 70% of our students meeting benchmark in reading and 82 in English, or 82%. And both our average in ACT reading and English is just about 25, right above 25.
Okay, to give you a little bit more background about the English department at Deerfield High School. Currently, our course offerings are 9 through 12, as English is a 4-year requirement. At each grade level, 9, 10, 11, 12, we offer standard level courses as well as survey level. In addition, at the 11th grade, we do offer American Studies, which is the U.S. History and English block. To the right, we offer a variety of electives. Currently, next year, we have Study Strategies, Creative Writing, as well as Media Studies running, which we're very excited about. In addition, at the 12th grade level, this year, we have the approval to run Senior English Science Fiction for next year, and we're very excited because we have 4 sections that are running. In addition to that, we are currently working together as a department to identify additional course options for seniors to take, so we can mirror what's going on at Highland Park and offer a variety of different options for our seniors when the time comes. This year, we are implementing a brand new writing map, which went into development last year with the collaboration and efforts of the entire department. The purpose for putting the writing map together is to provide a common learning experience for all students across all 4 grade levels at Deerfield High School. Within year 1 of implementation, we've seen wonderful results, and we're very pleased with the different types of writing that we are using right now within our classrooms. However, we are currently in the process of doing a little bit of reverse engineering In other words, we're taking these different types of writing at each grade level, and we're going back to the Common Core standards, and we're thinking about specific standards and skills that align with each major type of writing in order to make that a little bit more clear for our students. I also wanted to share a sample of a writing rubric. This comes from the literary analysis paper at the junior level. I can tell you that we are currently in the exploratory phase, meaning teachers are coming together as course teams and they are sharing a variety of different writing prompts. They're sharing rubrics, and our goal is to continue to develop writing prompts that are consistent across all courses within the same course team. In addition to having conversations about what writing rubrics look like. So that will be additional conversations that we have in the future. This year, in order to continue the notion of providing a common learning experience for our students, we collaborated and we put together a reading map, which is scaffolded and tiered using 4 different categories. So we start with reading standards that we will introduce or practice, and we will assess formatively. As we go on, we move into what we call focus standards, which will require a summative assessment. In addition, standards will be tiered, so eventually within the 9, 10, 11, 12 grade band, students will have seen those standards once before, but then we will go back and review and reinforce them. In addition, students will have standards which are strictly experiential, so they have the opportunity to cover the entire gamut of all the Common Core standards. So some highlights for you. I'm very excited to be working with our talented department in order to take a look at the maps that we developed and align them with Common Core standards. I will say that our department has been working with the Common Core standards, but we are naming specifically what's going to be required and expected at each grade level in order to ensure that no matter which teacher students have, they will be receiving that same experience. In addition, we've begun to have conversations about assessment literacy and what that looks like. So in other words, in terms of offering a traditional, let's say, close reading assessment of reading standards, we've begun to have conversations about different ways in which we can assess students' mastery of skills across reading, writing, speaking, listening, and language. We will continue to have those conversations as well next year as we continue working on our maps and revising them. In addition, my department has excelled with using one-to-one technology. When I've spent time visiting classrooms, it's always wonderful for me to see teachers using different applications or various learning management systems as a way to increase student engagement as well as enhance our curriculum. Students are being exposed to a variety of different apps. They get to work with Google Documents. It has increased collaboration overall. So that's been wonderful for me to witness. As I mentioned a little while ago, we are in the process of looking at different options for seniors. Next year we will be running 4 sections of science fiction, but this year we have developed a draft of 6 potential options which we will continue to refine as we move into the next school year. As Lenny pointed out, standards-based grading is going on in his department as well as mine. Not every single teacher is incorporating standards-based grading, but we do have a fair amount because teachers are big believers in looking at the end result and mastery of specific standards versus content. As well, outside of the classroom, the Deerfield High School English department has extended the different learning experiences by offering various programs such as Writers Week, which was a week-long celebration for the power of words. We were able to invite a variety of authors and clinicians to come in and lead students through a variety of workshops and also talk to them about the writing process. As well, after winter break this year, we sponsored Poetry Out Loud, which is a competition for poetry recitation, which was very successful. And we also sponsored a slam poetry contest as well after school. So I'm looking forward to expanding upon these cultural staples that we have going on within our department. So Lenny was able to give you some background information about STAR. So we too also use STAR data to help us get baseline information about students' reading skills. So teachers are required to administer the STAR test 4 times a year. And during late start time, course teams come together to take a look at the data. This is one report that is demonstrating growth, for example, with freshman and freshman English survey. We see our SGP numbers at 67 and 44, and we're very pleased. However, teachers are able to extract specific reports. One report that we like to work with and look at a great deal is something called the Instructional Planning Report, which allows us to group students by scaled scores and figure out ways in which we can differentiate our instruction moving forward. It targets specific Common Core standards that teachers utilize and have conversations about and discuss different ways in which instruction can happen in order to remediate and build upon those skills moving forward. We also see some nice growth occurring with our sophomore English and sophomore English survey with SGP numbers at 46 and 43. And we also see some growth as well at the junior level, specifically with junior English standards at 49. So at the beginning of the year, I learned that we did not offer a reading intervention program for our students for this current school year. So that gave me pause to do some further investigation and take a look at the summary report that we have available, primarily for freshmen. And based on my analysis of the data that we have available, we are currently looking at students who are at the 50th percentile or below as possible candidates to receive reading interventions. And currently we have 77 students that are at the 50th percentile or below. And I know that seems like a very large number, but the way I work with STAR data, it's one data point. I've already started to investigate other pieces of data, including student grades in English classes, and beginning to have those anecdotal conversations with teachers to get a better picture of who these students are. And also begin to think about what types of interventions that we can offer for these students. Because it's clear that, at least based on this data, they would benefit from having some additional supports built into their day. In terms of diagonal movements, we have 79% of freshman students who continue into a sophomore survey level, 68% that move from sophomore survey into junior survey, 78% that move from junior survey into senior survey, and when we disaggregate the data further, we find that 50% of students who are enrolled in senior English survey have been in an English survey course all 4 years. So when we begin to look at this data and how it kind of shifts around back and forth, it's given us pause to ask several questions in terms of what are we doing with the placement? And is the placement system rather, best, or that we're using best for our students? And the students that move from a survey level to a standard level, are we providing them the necessary supports and interventions that they need once we start to see them struggle, if they start to struggle? Currently, there's a really good vetting process that we use in terms of looking at STAR data, looking at grades, looking at writing samples before we make that move from survey to standard. Looking at our AP data as well, we see, especially in AP Lang, the number of students of color increase over the past couple of years, so moving from 10% up to 26% based on next year's enrollment figures. In terms of AP Lit, those numbers have stayed about the same, 12, 11, 10%. But then when we look at our average scores, our AP Lang has increased slightly from previous years, whereas our AP Lit scores have decreased a little bit. But I can tell you that based on last year's scores, 50% of our students earned a 5 on the AP Lang, 26.9 earned a 4, and 19.2% earned a 3. When we look at AP Lit, 27% earned a 5, 18% earned a 4, and 45% earned a 3. And then we go on and we look at one of our last data points, and that's the ACT data. 88% of our students are college ready based on looking at all the data together. 92.5% of our students met the English benchmark. 81.8 met the reading benchmark. And our average ACT English score is 27.1. Our reading is 27. So we know that we have some really good scores, but we're always looking at ways in which we can take a look at our curriculum and provide additional experiences for students to simulate what they might see on the ACT as well as the SAT. In addition, we're currently working on our study strategies curriculum in order to revise it and provide students with ACT and SAT experiences so they're ready for both tests no matter which one they decide to take.
So while we are two schools, we're one district, and one thing I certainly look forward to is being able to collaborate with Ryan. We meet at least monthly to meet and collaborate about what we're doing at both buildings to make sure those lines of communication are open. We also both engage in an articulation process with our middle schools, where we work with and talk with 8th grade teachers and their administration. We have placement meetings. We've observed middle school, and we're working on vertically aligning from 8th to 9th grade. We've discussed, in a perfect world, what do we want to continue working on next? And that's really that discussion of best instructional practices and what they're doing at the middle school and how to transition better to the high school.
In terms of technology, we use a variety of tools and applications within our classrooms in order to increase collaboration and student engagement. Next year, we will be looking at least at Deerfield, a variety of learning management systems, which will hopefully be a benefit for our students. So a couple different learning management systems we're going to be exploring. It's Learning, Canvas, and Schoology, in addition to using the variety of apps that we see up there, Hapara, Today's Meet, and Kahoot, all which are very helpful to our students.
So when we sat down to develop this, we really tried to say the big picture of English, what are our strengths and what are our opportunities to grow. So we collaboratively worked on these strengths and opportunities, and we are definitely very committed to equity and excellence.
And we build strong relationships between colleagues as well as with our students.
We work together to provide rigorous, authentic learning experiences for our students.
And building off of that, we see student-centered learning as very important and the center of what we do within our instruction.
Give us a problem or give us anything, and we'll creatively try to solve it and think outside the box to do something different and innovative to help meet the needs of all of our learners.
In terms of opportunities for us to explore together, we're looking at how we can have balanced literacy and assessment practices, so that will be some additional professional development opportunities for us moving forward.
We could just have a lot of time. That might help a little bit. And a big focus would be on our vertical articulation.
And although we have made strides over the years to provide students with different interdisciplinary opportunities, we see that as an area of growth for us. So for example, at Deerfield, we're in the process of putting together a course titled Visual Literacy, which will be an elective, hopefully, that combines English and fine arts together.
And with the implementation of SAT, we need to focus on what areas of the skills and core concepts of the assessment that we maybe could possibly better embed into our curriculum.
And although we're implementing effective practices such as standards-based grading and standards-based learning, we do feel that continuing those conversations and looking at the different grading models that we're using, as well as our feedback practices to students, is also an area of focus for us as we move forward too.
And now we would like to take a deep breath.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? We're going to start down there with Lizzie. Ms. Garlovsky. Not right now. Mr. Small.
So I thought it was excellent. Thank you guys very much. And obviously you put a lot of work into it and it had a lot of great information, so thank you. I did provide a copy of my questions in advance. And I think hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at those. did you have any additional comments or that you wanted to make specifically related to those questions?
So after we received the question, we tried to embed and answer them throughout. And then we also provided an additional handout. I'm not sure if you received that, about the specific breakdown in AP for 5, 4s, and 3s. Was there anything else that we may have not highlighted that you want us to go a little bit deeper into?
I think you talked a little bit about it at Deerfield. I didn't hear you talk about it so much at Highland Park High School, but basically consistency in course content, curriculum, and testing across multiple sections of the same class.
So we have our standards that all of our courses are built around. And all students read the same anchor text. It doesn't matter what teacher you have. So that's really more for a common experience, and it allows for those course team collaborations and conversations to really be centered around the text complexity and what they can do to scaffold the material. And then because they're meeting so often, and we're really trying to find times within the day for that job embedded collaboration, I would say it doesn't matter what teacher you have, you're reading the same things, they're the same anchor standards, the learning experiences are basically about the same, and they're at least tied to a common assessment for the course, and they're working backwards in their course teams to try to make sure they're having conversations about data and growth. So I would say it's a pretty common experience all around.
Okay, so this is just my personal opinion, and based on feedback that I have received, and I think that it was feedback also that was received during the assessments committee, is that there isn't a tremendous amount of consistency in these areas across different sections. And that, so that based on kind of what I've heard, and I kind of put it in the opportunity category as something that, where there's still some additional work to be done.
And I'd say maybe connected to that, the grading practices is not consistent on course teams. So oftentimes students might connect grading practices to common experience. And that's something that as our course teams get better working together, and they have more time to really work and kind of grapple with why and how we're assessing students, then that hopefully will help in that area. But ultimately, it's the course team decision on what they're doing, their scope and sequence, and how it all aligns. So that's certainly something that we'll be able to continue working on in the future.
Terrific. The other question I wanted to ask is, relates to freshman honors English, and kind of what are your plans in that area? I know that you talked a lot about equity, and this board on many occasions has said that it's our commitment to provide a rigorous education for all students, and kind of what are your plans to offer this particular class?
So this is definitely something that we've investigated this year, particularly, and we have what's called an ARL team, which stands for Action Research Lab, and throughout the beginning part of the year, we really investigated our different system of interventions, and with your support and Dr. Dignam's support, we've been able to expand our intervention model. Similarly, the second semester, we really focused on that honors at the freshman year conversation, and right now we're in the information gathering stages, as well as what a model would look like that can push and enrich all students, and then still have a built-in pathway for students to enter throughout the year. So it's really complicated, and it really requires some creative thinking, and we're currently in that phase. So I'm not sure exactly where we'll land or when we'll land, but it's definitely something that we're talking about, and it's going to lead to somewhere great, because I know how our teachers work, and I know how the conversations are, and I know how we really look at multiple data sets.
So that would be, go ahead, Chris, you were going to.
Yeah, I'll chime in here, because this is, I don't want to put Eileen on the spot, but Eileen, you are an English teacher as well as.
I'm on the spot.
Okay, so, and I have Kathy here as well, and Ryan and at Deerfield and Lenny over at Highland Park, what we're committed to as an administration is making sure that all students are afforded equal opportunities for, rigorous instruction. And so we have a new curriculum and instruction assistant superintendent coming in. And so our commitment will be, and Eileen, please jump in, or Kathy as well for your schools, that we will work with our department chairs to make sure we, in the curriculum cycle process, will take opportunity for that and get the input of the departments. But that's something that we want to make sure that we're looking at so all students have those opportunities in classes.
Sure, and I just want to praise the department in the conversations that I've been a part of. They have been really mindful of several things that from the surface might actually seem like they are competing or conflicting ideals, and they're not. Just glancing through the data, our seminar classes, which have traditionally been considered honors or like honors, they have the highest student growth percentiles of any of the freshman classes. None of the seminar sections has an SGP, a median SGP, not, a median SGP of lower than 58. So we would never want to undertake anything with the premise that our top kids aren't growing, because they most definitely are. They're blowing it out of the water. And the extent to which our teachers are able to address a range of learner needs in classrooms that are diverse is really important to us. It's been, we want all kids to grow. We don't think that kids should be able to opt out of rigor, but we do want kids to make balanced and healthy choices about their programs. And we also feel that we aren't the only teachers in the room, that a classroom that might be 96 or 97% white is a detriment to those kids, in that there are social benefits that they can't accrue from a lack of diversity in that class. So there are a lot of competing or seemingly competing ideals that I think our English department has been almost heroic in confronting, and I absolutely have faith and confidence that they will innovate something that addresses those needs most fully.
So I just thank you very much for clarifying that. So it seemed to me that the statement that you made is that you weren't sure that a classroom that had 96% of students that were white was not in the best interest of students. And I just want to clarify that that's, a very bold statement. And I don't think that that's certainly not consistent with my definition of providing a rigorous education for all students. And while I think that it's important that we offer open access for all of our classes, and that we're encouraging students from all backgrounds and from all perspectives to be part of these higher level courses, I think the idea that we would not offer a program because of the composition of the class, I don't think it's consistent with the values of this board. And it's certainly something that I'm not certain is consistent with board policy, and I'm not certain that it's consistent with state law. So if this is precisely what's being proposed, I think it's something that, as a superintendent, I think that you need to look at very carefully as to whether or not decisions are being made to offer courses just simply based on the racial composition of the class.
I didn't mean to suggest that the percentage was a disqualifier, but I don't mean to concede either that we can't do both. As a parent, I don't think I would want my children in a segregated environment. And as a member of this community, that hasn't been what they've experienced in their current schooling so far in District 112. I can't speak to what the values of the board are. I'm certainly not qualified to do that. That's for you. But as an administrator and as someone who's been in touch with what we've done as a department for 5 years now, I think we can do both. And I don't see why we should trade
I think that
one
we
for the
can
other.
do both, and I take exception with the idea that we have a segregated system at our schools. I believe that that the philosophy of our school is that we're providing a rigorous education for all students, and that we're providing access for all students in all of our academic programs and our extracurricular programs and our athletic programs. And I'm not aware of any segregation, subtle or explicit, that's part of our programs.
Okay.
And so I would just ask the superintendent if that's, something that you've observed or something that's consistent with, your experience within both of our high schools.
No, I have not, and I've not observed any type of segregation of students, but what we will do is we will make a commitment to, we have a new assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction coming in. We have our principals at the schools and our department chairs, and we'll re-examine the courses that we're offering and through the curricular proposal process, and our chairs have noted this is something you're looking at or you've noted this year, or maybe you've received feedback from. But we want to provide all students the opportunity to take all courses that they can qualify to be in and have the most diverse types of course offerings. And if that includes looking at regulars and honors, and still, if maybe that might be that the qualifier to get into an honors course is so much of an obstacle that we need to bring that down and to diversify those courses. That's something we would maybe want to examine. I don't know, Ms. Sanderson, if you have anything.
I would just point to a lot of the conversation that Lenny and Ryan had in regards to kind of placement and talking about whether it's interventions or differentiation. And I think there was a great focus on students of color and ensuring that our students, that we're being very mindful of what our placements are for our students and pushing them to achieve to their highest ability. So I think that a lot of the great work that we're seeing right now in the English departments is looking at the standards, looking at where we're currently at. I have to applaud the English department and Ryan at DHS for the great work they've been doing this year. A lot of the questioning about where we can ensure that we are providing the best curriculum for our students, whether that's at the survey level, standard, honors, AP. And I think that both schools are on a great path to further reviewing what our curriculum instruction looks like. So I think that it kind of falls in line with just the question of what curricular options that we have for our students.
Elaine looked like she was going to.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment regarding this discussion, and that is that I think both in research and practice and in talking to the community, we realize that diversity in the classroom is value added. And just knowing that just if you approach it from that idea, not that we're in any way sorting, segregating, whatever, but just the recognition that a diversity in the classroom is value added for all participants in the classroom.
And I actually was going to take it from a different tact, which is I agree with the premise that we are trying to have the most rigor and ensure that we push each student to the greatest of their ability, regardless of how high they come in or how low they come in, not even thinking about what they look like. But for me, the question comes back to, I would say, that's what we want to make sure happens, and I would leave it to you to determine how best to ensure that that happens. And the big thing that I took away from the presentation, the two things that I liked the most was hearing the collaboration across the schools, so that you're saying you're learning from what you're doing. And then the other thing that I took away was you said the word differentiation. So for me, differentiating each student in a varied classroom, whatever it is, whatever level you're calling it, is what will ensure that each child gets to their greatest ability. And so I would say again that for me, it's just to ensuring that every child gets the most rigorous education. To them, I don't have a specific course name, number, anything that is attached to that.
And I would just add, that's I think the differentiation is a key point. And so if we can have honors and regular courses where you have differentiation in the classroom, we leave that to our professionals in the classroom to discern how that looks. I know as an administration, I support having the regulars, honors, or those types of structures, and we just want to make sure that all students are provided those opportunities to have those course offerings. And so I would look forward to having this discussion again after July 1st, when we have our team reassembled and working with both of our chairs. So I know you've been working very hard this year together, and I do appreciate that.
But to me, and I know, Chris, because you keep saying there's someone new coming over, if the curricular offerings are exactly the same as they are today, because you think that's the best way to deliver it, that's okay with me personally. Just so I don't have any expectation for what the outcome would be.
No, my point with that is just that there is a lot of turnover in leadership, and our commitment is to making sure that we maintain the institutional knowledge that we have in the district, but that we also use that as an opportunity to re-examine and capitalize on what you've been doing this year.
So I have one last point now, just to ask a question as a follow-up. But I just wanted to make certain that my personal position on this was clear, which is that I'm committed to providing a rigorous education for all students. I'm also committed to encouraging students from all backgrounds and perspectives to enroll in all courses, activities, and programs that reflect their interests and their capabilities. It's absolutely crystal clear that diversity across the board is an incredible benefit and experience for our students. However, making course decisions based on the composition of the class is not consistent with my values. And it's not consistent with what I believe the values are of the district, and I don't believe it's consistent with the concept of equity and excellence. And then just to pose the last question, I think that you just kind of touched on this, and it had to do with kind of, are you being given enough resources to provide the intervention services that you need to support those students that have the greatest need? I think you can see it in terms of their grade level equivalent and so forth. Do you have enough resources in that area?
From Highland Park perspective, we were really lucky at the last minute last year to get a Title I grant for another position as a literacy interventionist. She's in the audience and she's amazing. And because of the great work that we were doing and the data analysis and the growth that we've seen students make, we've been able to expand that model with your support and with Dr. Dignam and the administration support. And I would say that, anything that we have, we're going to make work, and it's going to be top-notch and amazing for all of our students to grow. So as we continue to get more data and different data sets, we'll be able to show the need for growth in different areas. And I think since our model has exploded a little bit next year, we're going to be able to come back to the table and have this conversation and really be able to push where we need it the most. So that's the Highland Park side.
The Deerfield side, I think we're still going through the process of taking a look at all of our data to figure out which intervention programs would best be beneficial to our students. So at this point, it's too soon for me to say, but when I'm in a different place, I will definitely check back in with the board.
Thank you very much.
Well, just I'll guess reiterate that I appreciated the presentation very much, and I do think even based on the conversation and the data and the analysis that you've done, I have great faith that whatever you come up with in order to ensure that everybody has rigorous education will be right on. So thank you.
And I think that's what's great about our department. We're not just going to settle. We're looking at so many different perspectives and curriculum development, course development, and the types of offerings that we run. We're committed to making sure it's going to be the very best it possibly can be. And that's what we're going to come back to the table.
Mine are more comments than questions. Actually, there are no questions. You were extremely thorough. I am not a data gal. And so you may ask, what are you doing on a school board? I like to hear about the application of what you learn from the testing that you do. Being a person who has test anxiety herself, I know that it can be a good day, a bad day, and that it is part of the whole picture. What I love hearing is how the departments have evolved since my students were in the building. However, even at that time, and I think it's today and it will go on forever, the teachers are so driven, and they're driven by the building administration, and unless building administration is supportive of what the teachers are doing, then it's not going to happen. And the students do feel that. I hear it. I hear your passion in what you do. I know that there are different students that will connect with different teachers differently, and not every teacher will connect well or positively with every student in their classroom. That's unrealistic. I have 3 different learners and levels of challenges for their teachers over the years. And I do know that although they may not have been, and English is tough for a lot of kids, and literacy is very important for everybody. So that combination doesn't always meld. You need to know that when they leave this building, sometimes students do it a little later than others, some a little later than others, but even kids that don't like to read or don't read well do eventually find that they like to write, and they read in snippets as opposed to books. So whatever happening in the buildings, you're giving them a foundation, and I thank you for that. and all the work that you did to present to us. Thank you very much.
I do have a question, but first, Ryan and Lenny, I just want to thank you for a fabulous presentation. I am a data girl, and you fed my needs, right?
This is new. I should write this down.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I had no idea.
You really gave a very in-depth presentation that educated me much more than I had before walking in or reading the material about our English departments and all the great stuff that we're doing. But you also gave us data that helped us to measure the progress and how you look at things, and it really is terrific to see. So thank you. With respect to the course offerings, again, I defer to you guys, and I know I have faith that you're going to look at all the right things. Here's my question. You talked about an opportunity being the interdisciplinary practices. Coming from a more technology background and seeing all the focus we're putting on engineering and math and science, how do you see the English department evolving to help students both on the reading end of more technical documents as well as writing and communicating highly technical things? It's an area I've seen many very intelligent people struggle with, and I just wonder if that's something that you're looking at in the English department.
So I can speak to that. At Deerfield, we are currently in the process of developing additional senior choice options, and one of those courses is tentatively titled Effective Communication in the Real World. So we will be bringing in a variety of different texts, which, again, we're still in the process of developing a formal proposal, which we'll bring to the curriculum team in the fall. But certainly that is one area in which we can investigate further as we continue to flesh out the details of that course. So I think that's a wonderful suggestion.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for something now. And this is just my background, but I think the heart of your question is how to expand literacy practices in other areas to equip teachers, not just English teachers, but all teachers, to be able to have the knowledge to really focus on those technical documents or data or whatever it is that's in their field of expertise. I come from a couple districts, and my whole dissertation background is on instructional coaching. And I think if I were to ask for maybe what our teachers need, that would be an area that could expand in literacy coaching, instructional coaching, and more job-embedded professional development. So we actually really give course teams times and opportunities in the day to work with a coach, instructional technologist, to really be able to understand how learning is so important. And by having that coach with them, they'll be able to increase the capacity for students to be successful in all of those areas. So that can really, really help, and I've seen that help. The other thing that we're trying to do with what we're calling our block extension or our boost program is we're kind of making our English teachers literacy case managers for students, and we're hopefully going to be in kind of process to develop individual literacy plans for students, and they could tackle some of these technical skills and then be able to share with all of their teachers. And I think that that's a way that students and teachers can be able to understand how the transference of literacy skills is so important. And right now they might just be seeing English in isolation and not so integrated with some of the other subject areas. And as we kind of push departmentalization and increase collaboration and integration, you will be able to see some of those areas improve. So that gives you something to think about. I think that can be a really great model to help make our teachers even better. And then student achievement in these technical areas will improve as well.
Yeah, and just to be clear, so yes, I love all that. And it's not just using technology to improve your English and literary skills. It's improving your other skills, technology skills, science skills, whatever, by being able to read and then communicate those things more effectively.
Totally. Like
So
lab reports.
lab reports,
and,
right.
yeah, all of these this technical writing.
Communicating
They're not
complex
seeing
stuff,
the,
right.
The transference of how, you know, teaching them to write and speak to different audiences.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
sign
Okay.
me- Sign me up for all of that.
Perfect, me too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Like Julie, I love the data, and what I loved is the fact that you talked about data in terms of growth rather than achievement. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And embedded in that are several truths, if you will. Number one, the fact that you're using STAR data so consistently means that you have that sort of leveler that's going to guarantee that consistency at the grade levels, or at the course levels. And then secondly, also embedded in the data, as I'm looking at it, I see that you are actually making some forays in closing the achievement gap, because you had a more accelerated growth in some areas that needed it. And if that trend continues, that's what you're going to get. So you didn't speak to it, but I love it, it's in there. Those are the other pieces. I guess my other question is, because this is such an important feature of what you're doing, the fact that you're testing 4 times, I mean, the data is only as good as the attitude students bring to the testing event. Can you talk a little bit about what is the attitude of students going into those 4 iterations of STAR testing?
So at Deerfield, we drive home the importance of taking the STAR test seriously. And I know for a fact that every teacher in my department prints out the individualized student reports, and they take time at the beginning of the year and throughout, whenever they hand back the STAR, to talk about what does that data actually mean, right? So there are numbers on a page, but what does that mean for you individually in terms of your reading skills? I know there are teachers that have one-on-one conferences with their students to talk about, you know, your growth trajectory and where you were and where you've landed now, and what your next steps are for instruction, and the teacher's plans for working with that individual student to help them be successful moving forward. So students know that that's a part of our culture within our department, that once we STAR test and we return those reports, that it's not just here's your report, it's let's take a look at the report together and really talk about what this data means and what that means for you as an individual learner. So with that being said, it's sort of an unspoken expectation that students will take the test very seriously, because they know, and you hear them, you know, mumbling when they get their data back, oh man, my scaled score dropped a little bit, or oh yay, I shot up by 5 points. So there's a sense of excitement that's there, and students are taking it very, very seriously. So.
And I would agree with that. It's like a competition, you know, and it's immediate instant feedback, and they're totally into it, and want to talk about it, and want to really set goals for how they can improve if it's, you know, an off test day. So that excitement, it's there.
Well, I wanted to thank you also. It was a really great presentation. I have sort of a love-hate with data. It's good. It's a little overwhelming, but and I had the opportunity this year to meet with teachers at both schools that are involved in the co-teaching model, and the excitement around it and how successful it's been seems really amazing. So I'm glad that you're able to continue with the model, because it seems to be working really well. You guys are happy with how that's going. So so I was just impressed when I talked to the teachers about it. But I thought it was a great presentation, so thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have our principal report. Ms. Anderson.
I have nothing to report after all of that. No. A lot of what I have to report is going to kind of be a reiteration of what the students and Ms. Toplinski talked about, but I just want to kind of acknowledge some people that kind of go along with those accomplishments. So as you heard, in athletics, we've had some great accomplishments, numerous state send-offs over the past few weeks. So I'd like to thank all of our teachers and students who have come out to send off our state competitors. It's been really special for the students to be able to be appreciated before they go off and compete. For badminton, Coach Madsen is in her last year, so it was wonderful to have her go along with her students or her athletes to state competition. And for boys gymnastics, Coach Farrick was recognized by IHSA for the great program that he's created that actually has helped other programs within the state. So it was great acknowledgement for both of those coaches. We have had numerous celebrations for our seniors, from a senior celebration where our seniors were able to meet with their freshman advisory. They read the letters that they wrote themselves as freshmen so they can really see how they've grown and matured, hopefully, as well as talk with their freshman advisory teachers and reminisce about their past 4 years. They were able then to go to Whirly Ball and compete against some great teachers and lose. And that was a really great time for students and staff alike to be able to have those special kind of moments together. We had boat party and prom, and we also had after party. And as you know, this is a great way for our students to have a safe time after prom. And if you didn't know, Ms. Garlovsky and Ms. Culver are caricatures and were fabulous in helping to put together the after party through the Deerfield Parent Network. And if you haven't been, it is amazing the number of parents that are there, not senior parents because we can't have them there with their students, but the number of parents that are there to support students in this wonderful night. So I'd really like to thank the Deerfield Parent Network and all parents who were involved in this great evening. I also can't leave out Michelle Brownell and Stacy Studitzer for all of their work for prom. It was a wonderful event, from getting the students on the buses and going downtown and coming back and going to after party. So it was a great event. I'd also like to thank Nikki Antonakos for all of her work for Jam for Justice. It was a beautiful day that day, and it was everything came together for this wonderful event. Today, Deerfield High School started the Interact Club for Rotary, so we are now part of the Rotary Club for Deerfield. So this is really great for our students. We already have a group of about 30 students in the past month who have joined, and officially were started today. So they'll be doing some great things within the community, and you'll see them out and about. They were already selling pizza today to start some of their work. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent.
Thank you. On May 18th, 2017, we responded in a timely manner to a FOIA request submitted by Angel Rodriguez on April 24th, 2017. On May 19th, 2017, Angel Rodriguez submitted a new FOIA request regarding electronic communications. We are gathering materials in response to this request. On May 15th, 2017, we responded in a timely manner to a FOIA request from the Illinois Retired Teachers Association. The request was regarding contact information for District 113 employees. On May 17th, 2017, we received a FOIA request from the Contractors Adjustment Company for a copy of a payment bond in connection with construction work recently performed at Highland Park High School. We are gathering materials in response to this request. I have several informational items and updates. One, our strategic plan. We are currently in the process of creating an updated draft of the strategic plan to share with both the Board of Education and staff prior to the end of the school year. All work on the strategic plan has now been completed, and the construction of this latest draft version will enable the Board of Education to consider adopting portions of the strategic plan or the entire plan as the school year ends, adopting this over the summer or after the new school year begins in August. Communications Director Christine Gonzalez and I are in the process of creating a streamlined, user-friendly draft document that will be concise, informative, and enable all stakeholders to review the district's strategic goals, plan, and pathway into the future. Two other items. One is the Black Box Theater fundraising meeting. Several weeks ago, Dr. Clentus invited Board of Education President Michelle Culver and myself to attend a planning session with a parent representative, district personnel, and Highland Park High School staff regarding fundraising for the Black Box Theater. Incoming Highland Park High School Principal Dr. Liz Robertson was also invited to ensure a smooth transition regarding fundraising and support planning. In the meeting, the group discussed several options with the goal of raising $1 million over a 3-year period to ensure the Black Box Theater is fully operational. President Culver and I thanked the group for their thoughts and committed to supporting fundraising efforts to outfit the new Highland Park High School Black Box Theater. Last item would be our principal transition at Highland Park High School. As previously mentioned, Highland Park High School's new principal, Dr. Liz Robertson, is currently transitioning into her new role and meeting with a variety of Highland Park stakeholders. On May 9th, Dr. Tom Colentus graciously extended an invitation for Dr. Robertson and me to attend a May 16th Highland Park High School monthly PTO meeting, as well as a May 19th Coffee with the Principal end of school year event. I was able to attend the PTO's monthly meeting as well as attend the Coffee with the Principal meeting along with Dr. Robertson, in which we met with parents regarding items related to Highland Park High School. Dr. Robertson and I both appreciated the invites and look forward to ensuring a successful transition and building relationships into the upcoming school year. Thank you.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve the revised minutes for May 1st, 2017 special meeting minutes, May 1st, 2017 closed session minutes, May 1st, 2017 regular reorganization board meeting minutes, May 1st, 2017 closed session minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, next we have an RFP for Deerfield and Highland Park High School's yearbook services and the option of various graduation accessories. A legal notice was published to solicit request for proposal for yearbook services and the option of various graduation accessories. 4 vendors requested the RFP document and 2 of the vendors submitted proposals. The information in the proposals received could not be fairly compared against each other. This made it impossible to award the yearbook services to either vendor. A new RFP was drafted, which clearly defined areas for the proposal. A legal notice was published on May 15, 2017, and sent to the same 4 vendors. The administration recommends to reject the request for proposals received on May 20th, 2017. Okay, so is there any discussion? Yeah. Oh, and Barry, did you have anything?
Yeah, basically, when they submitted their proposal, they really didn't follow the same guidelines, so we couldn't do apple-to-apple proposal. So we contacted them all, talked them through the process, put another spreadsheet out, and we're going to reject this one, and then when we get the new data at the next meeting, we'll be able to accept the most qualified bidder.
Okay.
Do you think that you'll get 4 people then bidding? I mean,
I don't know, we had only 2 bidding before, and that was fine, but it wasn't apples to apples. But we still went out to all 4, and it's an open bid. If there's a 6th vendor out there, they could still give the proposal to them. So we're just following normal legal mandates.
Okay.
And if this is, if this action is followed, is this going to have any impact on the publication of the timing?
We don't.
Do we think it's going to have any negative impact on the cost, ultimately?
This looks familiar to me. Is this something that we've done every year, every couple of years? Because
We did it about, I want to say, 7 or 8 years ago. So we've done it before, we've talked about it.
Okay. There have been discussions about it then?
Yeah.
Okay, that was, I just was wondering, it seemed very familiar to me. I thought we had done it recently. All right, thanks, Barry.
Okay, so I don't do that yet. Okay. Okay, so now we'll have discussion regarding board committee assignments for next year. The board committee assignments are in front of you. If there's any discussion. As it says in there, Stacy and I met and based the assignments on the requests that were given. We were able to give everyone at least two of the requested committees that they had preferred, and then kind of filled in accordingly. We had a lot of people kind of want to be on the same committees. One thing to point out is the policy committee, for instance, is an open meeting. It's advertised as an open meeting because there's 3 board members on there, so anyone can attend the policy meeting. And there's a few other ones. There are a few people that wanted to do Deerfield Parent Network. Those are open meetings. Anyone can attend. So keep that in mind. I mean, you're not necessarily on that committee, but you're certainly able in a few instances to attend those meetings. So is there any discussion? Judy?
I have 2 points of discussion. One is about the sender districts. So I had made a recommendation for us to consider having liaisons to each of the sender districts. And if 3 is too many, then we would just focus on Deerfield and Highland Park. But thought that there was some value in having one board member just stay more focused on a sender district or all the sender districts. So I guess my question on that is what you put down here that you and Chris, is that in response to my request or is that different?
That actually was already in place from
Okay.
last year, and it was Annette and Chris, and so after I saw that, then I followed up with Chris, so he might
Okay,
have-
so I guess what I'm thinking, my request is a little bit more of a close liaison connection than I think what we've done in the past. So, for example, whoever the liaison for the center district, if there is a board meeting they could attend, they would attend, maybe not every one, but they would try to stay close, they would try to keep up with the various issues. And so, again, I just want to have a discussion as a board. I'm not 100% set that it makes sense because we all have lots of things on our plate. But I think I just have a bias that having closer connections between the sender district boards and our District 113 board would be a good thing. And this is one way of doing that. And it's also a way for us as a high school district board to stay more abreast of what's going on in the sender schools. So I don't know what other people think.
Well, did you want to comment
Yeah, I
first on
can-
how that was initially set up?
Sure,
And then
so-
we'll take questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first learned about this, to be honest, I was not entirely sure what that framework would look like. And so my feedback to Michelle was that in looking at the liaisons, now I understand what it is that you're proposing, but when I looked at it, I thought, okay, well, I have the regional group that I work with, which is all of our sending district superintendents, and I have the Lake County group, and then I have the high school group, and then I have the Northern Illinois group. So those meetings happen quite frequently, and so when I was looking at this, I thought, okay, well, I kind of have a pulse on what it is that's occurring with the districts. So I wasn't really too sure what it would entail for the board members to actually do that. So I was not clear on that.
A little bit of historical framework. Back when I was on one of our sender district boards, there was, we tried it a couple of times, actually, just as presidents we tried it, and I was a president in 112, Harvey was the 113 president, and we tried to do meetings with the presidents on a Saturday morning. We didn't always get everybody participate. Then we tried it with presidents and superintendents, and we did have a couple of meetings there was a lot of rich discussion, and we had 106, 109, 112, 113 participation, and it was really, they were good discussions. We didn't get to have them as much because you just listed a number of the meetings you go to. We have a lot of meetings that we do. My concern about, and I know we've had some various iterations of this discussion from this table before. My concern about having a regular, not necessarily liaison, I don't know if liaison is the right word, because I don't know that we all have the right perspective on what liaison is as opposed to committee member. And then, I don't know, I think we as a board should focus primarily on what goes on in our district because we have a lot to work on, but that we be cognizant through the superintendent and possibly through the president's interactions with various committees, just be made aware. It's one thing to go to the meetings, it's another thing maybe to let us know what's going on and some things we should be aware of. We've talked about it from a curricular perspective, and I don't know that we should even go there because I think articulation was mentioned by the English department, and I know that goes on at all the departments. It goes on at administrative level when students are coming here. So there's that level of articulation. I guess I don't know if, and I think if you had liaisons, you would have to do all the, 106, 109, and 112. It wouldn't be enough just to do 109 and 112.
So Julie, just to clarify, are you more interested in having perhaps a board member that attends the other board meetings, or is it more of a opportunity for one of our board members to meet exclusively with one of their board members to communicate? How did you see that?
I hadn't thought it all the way out. A lot of times the board meetings are on the same date, so
Right.
there's a practical issue that it's hard to do that. Also, what I was trying to accomplish, maybe it's best said that way, is I think as a high school, we would benefit from having closer connections with our sender schools at all levels. And I am convinced that all the articulation is going on within the schools. I mean, that's all great. But I could speak as a board member that I don't have connections with the other board members. I don't even know, a lot of them in the other districts. So I just feel like if we are a community, that having somewhat closer connections is a good thing. So that was why and again, I just wanted to bring it to the board for discussion, see where other people were at. I wasn't necessarily going to go to bat for it. I just thought there's some value in discussing it.
Did anyone else have any thoughts on that potential committee or liaison or representative, whatever we're calling it, but anyone else?
You go first.
And to me, I don't know, I tend to think that, there's two high schools and 109, 106, 112, 3 sending districts. I think that right now, to me, it seems like there's already some, potential confusion in the community about communication and who's supposed to communicate with who. And while the members of the board of all the other sending districts are elected officials and, our esteemed colleagues and whatnot, at the end of the day, they're members of the community, just like we're members of the community with respect to them as board members. And I don't think that we should give the appearance that they have any special lines of communication to board members, by creating kind of all these additional committees or liaisons or whatnot. If any board member, I think it's as sort of our job just in general, I think to stay informed and keep abreast of what's going on in the sender districts, but to create, lines of communication that don't really exist or shouldn't exist, to me, is creating problems that we don't need.
At a very high level, I feel completely uninformed about kind of the substantive issues, particularly related to curriculum at the different sender districts. And there's been a major change in their grading philosophy, grading and assessment philosophy, and there have been, at least in District 112, changes in the curriculum that I think are not consistent with what we're trying to accomplish in our district. And I think it would be extremely helpful if there were either regular reports by the superintendent telling us about important initiatives at each one of the sender districts, or that there was a board member that had the responsibility to periodically report to the board about significant, important developments at those sender districts. However the information was obtained, whether it was through looking at the videos of the meetings or talking to other board members or senior staff, whatever the information source might be, because I think it would be valuable for us to be knowledgeable about it.
I think David brings up an important point, Julie, and I think while the idea of a liaison may be, just the logistics of it may be difficult, I think we already have an avenue for having this. Maybe it just becomes included into the superintendent report, because, FOIA's, gee, fascinating, but
Not really.
I don't know about you guys, but anyway, but I think that would would be really beneficial for us, and perhaps, we reciprocate, because I think it's always dangerous to also feel like we're the big guys, and
Yeah.
you send to us. So I think we have to be very careful about not creating that sort of sense, but I think I would definitely appreciate hearing more.
Is Debbie?
I think it's a great idea, and I do think it should be through the superintendent. I think the information is very important. I think everybody having mentioned that understanding what's going on is a good idea, but I think it should be, I don't think it's a board member responsibility. I think it's a superintendent responsibility, or curriculum and instruction, or grants, equity, finance, HR. I think that's where it should be. I think that should be our connection with the different districts.
And I agree in a little bit to Lizzie and David's point. For me, one of my concerns when Julie first brought it up was sitting in somebody else's board meeting. Like, I don't know it would really be necessarily important. I think someone in the administration have a better sense of what would be meaningful to us versus me thinking, oh, that sounds meaningful, and doesn't mean a lot to you guys, so.
Now, I would just add that a lot of what's happening already is that in each of the areas that Debbie mentioned, there's a communications group that the communications directors work, and they have periodic meetings. Same thing with CSBOs, the HR, we go down the line, curriculum instruction, even with our deans. And so those meetings are happening continually. The principals are also doing the same thing, and there's a very different type of articulation with 109 and 106 in Deerfield High School compared to 112, because you have multiple districts. And so a lot of them, when I'm going to meetings, a lot of that is if they're coming up to the superintendent level, it's because those are bubbling issues. And so even for the superintendent for Bannockburn or Highland Park or Deerfield to have a pulse on every single one of those issues, it's really the ones that rise to the top, but it's delegated out so that we're not micromanaging the directors and assistant superintendents. And so we are doing it. If there are things that are relevant, we either are including those in the Thursday, Friday letters, the memos. We can make a more, I guess, pointed statement to specifically state this is something that's coming up from these different groups. But 112 is a good example. There's so much happening right there that's going to be occurring for the next couple of years with the district and turnover and having interim spaces or interim places right now, that we can be more explicit in pointing those out when we report out in our memos and in our reports, and even here I can do the same thing, but those are occurring.
And I was just this was a good conversation, because what I'm looking for can be achieved if we just get more reporting through you and your staff about key things that we should know about that are going on in the various sender schools, because I just think we'll do our jobs better if we understand what else is going on in education around us. So if you're willing to communicate more, then I will take off my recommendation.
So would the interest be to have that reported out at a meeting or in a Friday memo?
Any memo, just in any, whatever way makes sense from my perspective, just report, like a Thursday memo, Friday memo, whatever, if it's worth the community knowing about it. I think, that rises to the level of a board meeting. But if it's just so we know there's a new grading system or a new,
right,
Well, right.
whatever.
Right. For example, if they decide to implement standards-based grading,
Right.
at the high school, which they haven't done across the board yet, that would be a big deal. But
And that's a good example, because that's an example where we were specifically invited to go, Kathy and myself were to go to another board meeting to speak about what does that look like when the kids finally get to Deerfield High School. And so Kathy knows quite a bit about that, as well as the middle school principals, and then Mike Lubefeld and me. So that's an example of when that would happen, and we went to a board meeting to speak specifically for that in a different district.
So are we in agreement that at your discretion, at Dr. Dignam's discretion, he can share that information with us, whether through a superintendent report or through his Friday memo, per as needed? Is that okay with you?
No, it's, I don't mind, I share all of that.
I think that's great, to the extent that if he does it through, his board report, then we can ask questions and have a dialogue. Whereas if it's
Okay.
just in a letter, then
Right.
it's, you don't really have that opportunity.
I'll use my judgment in
Okay.
that.
Okay. Any other discussion about committee assignments?
So I did have one question, and I do appreciate the time that you spent. Obviously, it's balancing a lot of, requests and demands. And this relates to the policy committee. I think it's a particularly important committee. And I personally took to heart kind of your email saying, let's all be willing to take a step back and offer opportunities to other board members. I think it's, as individuals, we're not elected to the board either to be president, we're not elected to the board to be chair of the finance committee, and we're certainly not elected to be on the policy committee. And I'm delighted that Lizzie is joining. I'm a little bit puzzled why you wouldn't have rotation taking off the member who'd been on the committee the longest. And I think, Debbie, you've been on it for 6 years?
Yep.
And you took, and I believe that Alina wanted to remain on there. And so it seems to me kind of a good, best governance practice would have been, all right, so let's take the individual that's been on it for 6 years, let's rotate in a new board member. And I think it's good for, best practice in governance to have the rotation. I think it's also consistent with the goals that you set out when you sent around. And I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts on this.
Yeah, Stacy and I talked about that, and she might be able to speak more to it since she's actually on the policy committee, but it...
So finance and policy, if you, like you and Julie are both on finance. So this was the one, by the way, just so you know, I was the filler, just so people realize that. If you look at the committees I'm on, these weren't necessarily the ones I asked for.
Thank you.
But in terms of policy, to be perfectly honest, because we're losing both Sue and Andrea, a lot of what happens in those meetings is a discussion of stories and why certain policies were as they were. And so I actually talked to Michelle and said, in this one instance, I thought having the history would be important because Debbie would know the stories I didn't hear. We would both, you could theoretically then say I would be the one that would be more likely to come off. But that was literally the thought process, was to make sure that we understood in that specific instance the institutional history regarding the policies. And having said that, part of the thing was it is open, so it doesn't preclude anybody from being there and participating in the meeting.
So why
that
don't
was
we just make it 4 people then?
If you want to come to every meeting. Is that?
Yeah, I mean,
So if you have another person that's interested, then why not include them?
well, there's 2 more people that were interested, so then we'd need 5.
Well,
Oh, you could
I
do-
just know that in particular that Alina was interested, and so why not have Alina, she has tremendous value to add, why not?
It's
And if-
short of
and
being a
if in the
committee of the
end you
whole when
have-
you at the end, like.
If in the end you have a substantive issue, you have a 2-2 vote, I think that that's a terrific, way you come back to the board for clarification direction.
Debbie?
Well, actually, I had said that I felt people should be on committees that are out of their area of expertise. And after your 6-year stint on finance, you're on it again, probably because that's one of your areas.
I'd be happy to drop off.
No, hold on, I'm just talking. Because I'm listening and answering some of the things that have been said. And I actually said I would be happy to step down, but there is a lot of historical information that goes on. I offer a ticket, but I was asked to stay, so I'll stay for the historical knowledge. But I will tell you that all the people that have expressed interest in policy, you are always all welcome to come to policy at 7:45 in the morning. Many of you do not. So I know Elena comes, and I don't know why the decision was made. I think rotating somebody new in is good. I'm respecting Michelle and Stacy's discussion. If anybody has a difficulty with me being on it, I will get off. But I will respect
So
what
there was,
Michelle and Stacy have
obviously
said.
no slight meant by any of these assignments. And to Stacy's point, we wanted to keep the people on there. It is open. If you're more comfortable having your name under the policy heading, if everyone's agreeable to that, we could do that. Otherwise, it is open and anyone can attend the meeting.
I have attended meetings, but it's been clear to me that if I'm not on the policy committee, I'm in a different role.
Yeah.
So I don't agree that it's the same because it's open, you could show up and still contribute. I do think there's a difference if you're on the committee versus, at least it has been historically when I've shown up just to be there on a topic that I'm interested in. It's been very clear to me that I don't have the same role as a standing policy member. So I just want to clarify that unless we're changing that and saying if you show up, you're just like you're on the policy committee, I just want to clarify that that's...
I've only been to one meeting, so I don't know I don't know if that's the case.
No, I
The
echo
one
that
meeting I was
completely.
at, I contributed,
Think of it the way.
but you can't.
Right, no, it has definitely been I feel like a difference, that first of all, even coming in the way you're prepared or having been thought of at that table. I agree.
Yeah, so I'm just saying...
But
I
if we're
think
doing this to say that you're
So-
part of the, you're.
If we want 4 on it, let's put 4 on it, but...
Would everyone be okay to adding a fourth person
Elena
to the
has an
policy?
interest.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I really appreciate your bringing this up, and I just feel that we should respect your decisions and stay with the 3. And
I'm perfectly happy if the majority wants to add a fourth. I'm fine with that. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in the policy meetings. I did attend one, so I do know there's a lot of discussion.
My only concern, oh gosh, what time is it? I'm losing my words. Protocol-wise, when we have a majority of the board sitting on a committee, I don't know what that does regarding open meetings and Robert's rules as a member of the committee. I don't know if it's still called a committee or if it is a sub-meeting of the board. Because once you have 4 of us there, it is the majority of the board. And then I don't know if that has any implications. We may want to, Tom, ask
I was gonna just say
the
Andrea or
attorneys
Tom if they
what,
had.
or Tom, do you know? I don't know if it's then no long, to me, it's then no longer a committee.
Right.
If there's 4 of us on there? Okay.
yeah, I would say, rather than to cause any consternation, we'll just leave it as is, but I'm grateful for your consideration.
Then perhaps we can just clarify then that any member that wishes to attend, that if they are given, that if we give advance notice, that they will receive the same package of materials, that policy board members are provided, and that we'll be given an equal opportunity to speak and share our opinions and participate fully and wholly, except obviously for a vote.
We don't
vote in there anyway, but yeah. Yeah.
You
but I
don't
mean, like
vote in
sitting-
there?
No.
No, we vote. We vote at these meetings.
No, I'm saying at a policy
We
committee.
don't ever vote at policy. Do you vote at finance?
No, I mean, no.
If you're bringing a policy back to the board, presumably it's because the majority of the people on the policy committee are in support of the specific
But
changes.
there's no vote taken.
Well, but there must be some implicit consensus, otherwise there would never be an agreement to bring it back. So you're just being very subtle about whether it's technical vote or not. But the point being that, so let's just have an operating protocol that individual board members that want to attend, if they say, okay, I'd like to attend, you're
It'll be
welcome, you'll get the same
consistent, right.
materials, and you have the full opportunity to participate in all aspects of the meetings, as do other board members present.
I would say we could agree with that once we make sure there's not an issue with more than 3 board members being there and it turning into a sub-meeting.
Okay,
So as
so-
soon as we clarify that, but otherwise, I would think that that's fine as long as it's not.
Terrific.
Yes.
You might want to check with Barb,
Okay.
Tony,
Mhm.
because she
We get that as a
did,
committee.
provide some guidance regarding when there is a committee and board members that aren't on the committee, even when it's an open meeting, because it's free on there, what the role is of those who aren't officially on the committee.
Okay.
So she gave some guidance. I don't recall right now what that guidance
Right.
was, but she did give some guidance. You might want to check with her.
Okay, so we'll double check on that. And then, so we'll leave, so the discussion is that we're going to leave the assignments as they are, but we'll find out if additional board members want to attend a policy meeting, they'll get the materials, they'll have a voice. We'll clarify that that's going to be okay to do.
Right, but I think it's more of a legal issue as opposed to a.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think
Barb Tony
anyone's-
may not agree that it's a
I
best practice and governance issue.
Oh, well,
Okay, and so I think that's the
I'll
issue.
find out if it's legal.
Okay, perfect, awesome.
Aren't we talking about what's best practice in governance? Haven't we been talking about it for 2.5 or 3 years? Or trying to anyway?
I'll find out both.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think there's value in getting both.
I'm going to get best practice and legal.
Right, but a best practice is something that we're not taking, Barb isn't, coming down from the mountain telling us what best
No.
practices are.
No, but I think if she tells us what's legal and what's best practice, I think we as a group of 7 have to vote or straw poll or whatever you want to call it and say whether we think that's a good way to continue with policy.
If it's opposed to what we've decided today. If it's
Yes,
different,
yes.
yes. Okay, terrific.
Okay, so any other discussion about board assignments? Nope. Okay, so we'll move to action items. So we'll do this one, right? The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education reject the request for proposals received on March 20th, 2017 for Deerfield and Highland Park High School's yearbook services and the option of various graduation accessories. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, you said that we're
Rejecting it.
Rejecting, thank you.
Because they
Then I'll
have to
second
redo
that.
it, yeah. Any discussion? Seeing that there is no further discussion, a roll call, please.
Ms. Gordon?
Aye.
Mr. Orlowski?
Aye.
Ms. Lawby? Aye. Ms. Meyer?
Aye.
Mr. Small?
Aye.
Ms. Hyman?
Aye.
Ms. Colvin?
Aye. Motion passes. I think there are just 2 copies of the same thing. Okay. Okay, so then we have the action item regarding Title I plan. The submission of a Title I plan is a requirement under the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act. Prior to the release of the Title I grants to the LEA, the school board must approve the Title I plan at a public board meeting. Okay. Oh, okay. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the Title I plan under the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act. Is there any discussion or?
Motion.
Is there a motion first?
Yes, so moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Well, I'll tee it up. I attended a meeting last Thursday that Andrea Johnson ran, where there were a number of people invited from different constituencies to represent all the interested parties in a plan like this. And she went through the guidelines for Title I. She went through a description of targeted assistant programs for Highland Park High School. She went through a review of the proposed goals for fiscal 18 Title I plan. And then she gave the group the material that you saw in your package and looked for feedback from the group so that it could be fine-tuned, and I'm assuming you incorporated the minor things that were provided. It was a very robust conversation. It's clear we do a ton of stuff. It's clear we have to report on a ton of stuff, and I think everybody there benefited from it. We did talk about things like the co-teaching model and other things where we're using the Title I funds to really improve learning for kids who need that extra attention. I'll let you add.
This is a new requirement that the plan be approved by the board before they'll release the grant. So that's why you all haven't seen this before. So with the current rules, there are 2 times that Title I issues come before the board. One is the parent-school compact, which is also in policy, which you all approved a few months ago, and then now the Title I plan. So it is a new requirement.
Can I add one just nice part was there's a requirement as part of the Title I that we prove that the students in need don't have a disproportionate share of unqualified teachers or teachers that do not meet certain standards. And what's really nice at Highland Park High School is 100% of our teachers exceed the standards, so we don't have to even worry about that. So kudos.
Well, and then the last thing is the connection between this plan and the grant is that all of the goals of the grant have to be reflected in the plan. So they work hand in hand. We can't use funds for anything that isn't reflected in this plan. So.
Great, is there any further discussion?
Would the actual plan for disbursement of funds be in a separate document that we would see, or is that not part of the?
It's not a requirement. You have access if you're interested in seeing the grant and how the monies are spent.
No, I guess my question is that typically with this new requirement that it comes to the board, that part of it is not included, is that correct?
Yeah. The plan comes to you that's before you now.
Yes.
The grant does not. So the grant, we don't even have them, I don't even know how much money we're going to have yet, because they won't release it until this gets approved first. But no, there is no requirement that the board approve the grant. The approval for the grant goes through the superintendent.
Well, and just to share the process, as I understand it, Andrea had to write up this plan. We had to have this meeting with stakeholders. Then it goes through board approval. Then it goes through ISB approval. And then the grant can be released. So it's a very long, arduous process just to get that grant money.
And Sandra Erikine worked with me on this, as well as Tiffany and Sue Epson. We met prior to the other stakeholder meeting, and Sandra and I both went to a meeting with some of the consultants from ISB to kind of go point by point to ensure that we had not only a robust plan, but also one that would pass muster, if you will. And that's new as well. We've never done that before, so we did it together. So.
Great, any other discussion? Seeing that there is no further discussion, a roll call, please.
Ms. Lobby? Aye. Ms. Meyer? Aye. Ms. Golowski?
Aye.
Mr. Small?
Aye.
Ms. Hyman?
Aye.
Ms. Gordon?
Aye.
Ms. Culver?
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, the next is a student settlement agreement and general release of claims. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the student settlement agreement and general release of claims as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
This was relative to what Tiffany had brought to us.
Yeah.
Previously.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing that there is no further discussion, a roll call, please.
Mr. Small?
Aye.
Ms. Lobby?
Aye.
Ms. Gordon?
Aye.
Ms. Hyman?
Aye.
Ms. Garlowski?
Aye.
Ms. Meyer?
Aye.
Ms. Culver?
Aye. Motion passes. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes personnel, financial reports, and Board of Education travel and meal expenses?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and Elena will provide a report on the bills.
Yes, I had the pleasure of meeting with Barry before the meeting. The process we've been using is to look at the bills, including the P-card ones, as early as they're available. And the questions that I pose are always answered quickly and clearly. And again, I always learn something from the process. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate Barry and the diligence of everyone that works with him.
Okay, is there any discussion?
I just had a question about the additional retirement that was in the packet that we hadn't known about. Was it a surprise?
Which one is that?
So if it's a personnel matter, don't we have to go into
I'm just
closed
asking, I'm not
session?
talking about anybody by name. I asked about in general terms, the
Okay.
additional retirement. Okay, thank you.
You had one, Mr. Small?
I do. So I would, on a personal basis, like to appreciate the long tenure of service by several of the individuals that have given their retirement, in particular, several individuals in leadership position. And I'm hopeful that there's a district that will extend ourselves and will appropriately and thoroughly express to them how grateful we are for their long years of service and for their tremendous contribution to our district, to our students.
Okay, any other discussion?
Bless you.
Bless you.
Seeing that there's no further discussion, a roll call, please.
Ms. Hyman?
Aye.
Ms. Garlowski?
Aye.
Mr. Small?
Aye.
Ms. Meyer?
Aye.
Ms. Lawby? Aye. Ms. Gordon?
Aye.
Ms. Culver?
Aye. Motion passes. Are there any citizen comments?
So you waited all this time.
No? Okay. I need a motion for the board to meet in closed session for the discussion of the placement of individual students in special education programs and other matters relating to individual students, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Meyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hyman?
Aye.
Ms. Gordon?
Aye.
Ms. Garlowski?
Aye.
Ms. Lawby? Aye. Mr. Small?
Aye.
Ms. Culver?
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, we will move into closed session.